And I also think too, the direction people go with it as well, like, is love really real? I think that people people want it to be really like special, and rightfully so. I find my love that I give to be very special.
Right.
And so to then entertain the thought, so say with like an arranged marriage, over time, you can form affection and love for the person that it doesn't, well, then does it not really matter? Like the significance of the person that you're falling in love with, it's like, it kind of, is challenging the thought of like the significance of the person that you are falling in love with. Does that make sense?
Yeah. People really want their love to like be so exclusive and momentous and mean so much. Like, I'm choosing you because you're the only person I could have chose, which is fair.
Yeah.
But that's just not the case.
Yeah.
Objectively, that's not the case. As much as you don't want to admit that, as much as it's not like romantic to admit that, it's not the case. Yeah. That person could have literally been anyone. Yeah. And there's no, back to like this idea about the soulmates, right? Like there is no, this is the most unromantic idea of all time. And I'm a romantic at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, like, same.
This is the most unromantic idea ever. But at the end of the day, like, you falling for who you fall for is relatively arbitrary. And it has to do with like, all right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Intellectual Podcast. We're just putting just a dash of nuance to the polarizing conversations of the internet. I'm Jem, and that's Renee.
I'm Renee.
She is so hungover today. Why would you go so ham when you knew you had to record is the question.
Guys, it was just, life happened in a way in which I could not control.
It just spun out of control.
It just spun out of control.
Oh,
we had a holiday party for my work last night, and I don't plan it. You know what I mean? Like, it was.
Didn't go into it trying to be plastered.
Exactly. Right. It just happened to be on the day that it was, and that happened to be the day before recording, and one thing led to another, and. I will say this, I have very fun coworkers, and that is a blessing to work with people who are a great time, but also because of that, here I am, wildly
we're in
hungover.
The situation that we're in, which is fine, you know?
Yes.
I'm glad you had fun, first of all. Second of all, thank you for being here. Yeah. Hungover and all, like, goodness.
I'm nauseous.
If it was me, I might have canceled.
Yeah.
Like, we got to do this next 100%. Week, bro. I am so hungover. This is crazy.
Men are weak, that's why.
Wow.
Like, men's like threshold, like, I say that jokingly, but also kind of serious. Men's threshold for like pain and like discomfort is so low.
Because we're so sensitive. Yeah. You guys are built to push babies out your bodies.
Well, we have like a painful week once a month. You know what I mean?
So don't come for me.
So it makes sense.
Don't come
but
for me.
Like,
blame
it's just
evolution.
Funny.
That shit's crazy to me.
Don't blame it on me.
But all that being said, we're going to be talking about something quite profound today.
Yes.
Quite interesting. A little not so polarizing, but still very, very fun.
Yes.
Which everyone can relate to. It's the general topic of love. And what is love? It's baby don't hurt me.
Yes.
And that should be hurting me all the damn time. I can't catch a break. I don't know what the
and that
heck
should
this
be hurting
is. I gotta
me
leave this shit alone, man. But
oh my god,
this is going to be part of a larger series that we're going to split up into 8 parts, talking about all the things that the Greek people had to say about love. And today we're going to talk about Eros, specifically inspired by Emma Chamberlain's conversation that she had on her podcast that everybody was so up in arms about.
Everyone, really went in on her.
For like justified reasons.
Yeah.
Sure.
I know. After listening to the episode, you texted me and you were like, okay, I kind of understand.
I get it. But like going in on her so aggressively is like, come on now. That's a little extreme.
Yeah.
But that being said, she was talking about how whether or not romantic love was an illusion. And everyone was mad because she didn't really go anywhere with that premise. And I thought it was a good premise. So I was like, why don't we
steal that idea and
try to see if we can talk about it?
Exactly.
And here we are going to talk about whether or not romantic love is an illusion. So if you're into that, stay tuned. Because I think it's going to be a much more interesting elaboration than what she had. Because she went with the basic, like, the chemical happenings that go on in your brain to motivate this feeling. It's just dopamine at the end of the day. Is it really real, or are you just perceiving something that doesn't exist?
Yeah.
To which I raise you, maybe.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. But before that, I have a very interesting theory, a dating theory that went under the rug under that conversation.
No, that missed our episode. We didn't see.
But I think it's even more relevant to this conversation because I saw a TikTok and it was talking about the taxi cab theory. Have you heard of the taxi cab theory popularized by Sex and the City?
I have not.
All men are taxi cabs.
Oh, okay.
And they turn their lights on when they're ready to turn their lights on. And if they don't, if they're not ready to turn their lights on, they don't turn those lights on. What are those lights? Whether or not they're trying to settle down.
Okay. So I feel like we might have talked about this very briefly before. I don't know. One of like the earlier, like the first episodes where I think I mentioned talking about how like men, like they don't like marry the person that they love like the most. They marry like once they are ready to be married. So whoever's like there when that happens. Yeah. Like that, like that theory. Yeah. That idea. And
it was a really fun conversation because she was talking about her parents, how they both have like exes that they still remember fondly. But the dudes just weren't ready to be in those relationships. Right. And the dad's like, yeah, like, do I like think about what would have happened if I like went with her? Sure. But like I have my daughters and your mom's like such a good wife and such a good mother. So it's like all's well that ends well type of thing.
Totally.
But she mentioned this idea about how timing is such an important factor for compatibility. And the way she phrased and the way she was talking about it, I was like, wow, I never really like put the proper significance on timing. Because they're always talking about like right person, wrong time, wrong person, right time, blah, blah, blah. But I always thought like if it's the right person at the wrong time, it's just like ultimately the wrong person. Right? Yeah. But timing is part of the compatibility situation. So if you guys are not aligned in timing, you guys aren't compatible. Yeah. And I was like, wow, that's so fucking true.
Yeah. No, I know a lot of people who have like, even like recently, like having situations where it's like crazy chemistry, get along really well, like never felt like this before or like in a really long time type beat. And because of something situationally or external, it just no matter the fact that the chemistry was that good, that amazing, it couldn't happen because of the timing of it all. It is insane.
That
like
shit's kind of wild.
Yeah. And what like an infuriating thing. Like I have not felt this way.
You really
for
just kind of have to just like suck it up because that's just life at the end of the day. It is what it is. Or just hope that in the future timing aligns itself. Yeah. But to me personally, I'm like, if shit doesn't work when I want it to work,
I'm gonna forget about it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not gonna forget, so to speak. But I have too much pride to go backwards. Yeah. So like, we got to make this shit work here and now, or it's never gonna happen. Even if it's like perfectly aligned, I'm just gonna be petty about it. Like in the future, maybe she had to do this one thing. Maybe she had to go whatever. Yeah. It could be perfect. And I'll be like, well, no. You had your chance.
But you missed. Yeah, you missed out on something.
And now we both have to suffer.
Damn. You really are such a petty person.
Yes, I am willing to suffer for the sake of principle. I don't care. I'm not taking that shit back. God. It is what it is. I am perfectly prepared to be unhappy. Yes.
Damn.
For the sake of my pettiness.
You are a grumpy old man.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been slighted far too many times.
Have you though? Like,
no.
Like, is that a true statement?
It's not even a little bit. I've only been slighted like a few times. Right. Like maybe 3.
Like, are you that burned, dude? Like, oh my God. For sure. God,
the narratives people tell themselves. So fucking funny. Oh yeah, no, I haven't been burned that much. But I am very petty.
Yes. You are.
I am very petty. People have to like, and that's so. Here's the thing, right? Okay. Here's why I'm so petty.
Gotcha.
I feel like I'm a very easy person to get along with because I try really hard to be like very agreeable.
Yeah.
So if you take that kindness and you like twist it and throw it away, then you're going to have to jump through the most hoops. I reserve all those hoops for the people that don't appreciate what I'm giving when I'm giving it.
Right.
I think that's perfectly fair.
You know, when you put it like that, I understand.
I'm petty, but I'm reasonable.
But I'm a reasonable petty person.
I'm reasonable. I'm about to give you the entire world if you let me, but if you don't want it, then fuck it.
Fuck it and fuck you.
Fuck you, and then if you want it afterwards, you're gonna have to earn that shit. Before I was gonna give it freely, now you gotta earn it.
Yeah.
I don't think that's too much to ask.
Honestly, it's kind of fair. I understand
there
it.
There you go. There you go. But it is funny. It is funny to phrase it the way I phrase it because people get like, what the heck? You're so fucking petty.
Yeah.
It's like, but within reason.
But
within reason. And then I also saw this other thing about how going back to this conversation, and you can decide whether or not you want to put this in. This is not necessarily relevant. But how you were about to break up with your mans, and then all of a sudden, everything like went perfectly. I'm constantly trying to qualify why that is the case.
Yeah.
Just in the world. Because that's not like a unique situation. That happens all the time.
Right.
A theory presented to me by the internet, TikTok specifically, was a guy saying that women seek reassurance by starting arguments. And I was like, okay, you've piqued my interest.
Right. I'm
sure.
listening.
And he elaborated on it, talking about how you're not going to go out of your way and just ask for reassurance because it won't reassure you. So you create the context in which you can observe things being reassured.
Yeah.
What is more reassuring than producing a reaction when you don't know how a person's feeling?
Right.
If they react negatively to your annoyance, that means they're right here with you.
Yeah.
Head to head. You're butting heads, but you're like there together. If they're like nonchalant about it, they don't care, then it's like, damn, he never really cared about me.
He doesn't love me.
Yeah, he doesn't love me enough to fight with me type shit.
Right.
And I was like,
Yeah.
There is something to be said about reacting, like finding a woman annoying as a man.
Yeah.
Like if they're that annoying to me specifically, I mean, I care at some level. How much I care is relative, but like I definitely care. Like, why are you like being this way? And then after you have the fight, and then she's chill, she's reassured, and everything goes the way it's supposed to go, which is what happened.
No, I was gonna say that's literally like the situation that happened for sure.
Like on one hand, it might be an ultimatum, but on the other hand, it might be just like a shot in the dark.
Yeah.
Let's see how serious you are about this thing. I'm ready to
dip skis.
Yeah.
That was me.
I was like,
funny.
wow. And then the third thing, Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out. They just released all the commercials. And in these commercials are big booty strippers with Jiggle Physics.
Jiggle Physics?
Jiggle Physics. You know what Jiggle Physics is?
No.
It is the representation of how things jiggle in three-dimensional space. So they analyze how that is in like the real world, and they make a code, a sequence, and apply it to rendered 3D animations in video games. Jiggle Physics.
For the big booty bitches.
For the big booty bitches.
Oh my God. That is so that is doing the most to make a accurate fat ass. That is hilarious.
Because in the commercial, there's a chick twerking on a car, and it looks like an ad. Like people are like, I didn't know this was a game. I thought this was real life. Because of how it's like moving. I'm like, someone really devoted their energy
so much time.
Making this.
What is even the point of GTA? What is this video game?
It's just like an open world thing where you just like explore and fuck shit up, and there's a storyline. I've never played GTA to be honest, but it's just a storyline and people just doing shit.
For sure.
The Jiggle Physics makes sense for the game. It's just funny that it's there. It's just funny that it's there.
That is
and
wild.
Like people, and it's accurate. It's accurate
I'm
as
gonna have
hell.
to watch this video.
I'm gonna pull it up right now. This is kind of crazy. I was like, oh my goodness.
Oh Lord.
Oh my God. Well, this is a clip from the game.
Oh wow, it is very realistic.
So that's the thing. Let me show you this.
The only like GTAs I see is like probably the really old ones.
It's like
where
really,
it's like
2D.
Yeah.
Oh shit, here we go again. GTA 6. It's the bottom one. Oh my fucking god! Is it showing it? Or is it past it? Go back to the beginning.
Back to the beginning. Oh, I see.
Like that thing is moving. That thing is moving like it's supposed to. That thing is
moving like it's supposed to.
I was like,
that's
oh
hilarious.
my god, that's crazy.
Oh my god,
that's crazy. And I'm like, wow,
what
we're
is
like,
this video game? Why do they have?
Why do you need
on?
this?
Why do you need this?
And I'm just like, with this that much closer to the uncanny valley,
or
through the uncanny
100%.
valley when things are just too realistic.
Yeah,
I want to be in that video game VR style.
Maybe.
If it's jiggling like that, I mean,
I might be down. I might be down.
But you know what's worse?
What?
Than a flat ass chick?
Damn. What?
A flat ass man.
Oh,
that shit is not talked about enough, and I've been seeing that so much lately.
This is so true.
I'm like, where is your ass, bro? Yeah. It's like upsetting.
It's like they wear a belt, but it's still gonna slide right off. You know?
Yeah. I'm just saying, ain't no way, bro.
That is actually very true.
Why don't you have an ass?
As a man, go. You need to do leg day.
Squat it up. That's such a thing.
Yeah,
that's
some
such
glute exercises.
God damn,
come on now.
Pissing me off.
Yeah, there are quite a. It really is a thing, and I think people don't talk about enough how attracted to asses women are as well. Like girls like a fat ass on a dude too, or like just like a nice ass, you know.
Khal Drogo, when they had his naked scene, was talking about Jason Momoa's ass.
Yes,
I was like, yeah,
good
ass.
You got a good ass.
Pause.
Like you got a little something.
But nah, man.
Huh?
I said, but pause. But you know, what I mean? Like it doesn't work like that. But I have been getting really upset seeing these flat ass men, just like around.
Yeah,
like,
just existing.
Not even like on anything specific, just like in the world. I'm just like,
why?
Anger. Flat ass women don't generate the same amount of anger.
Right.
I don't know why.
That's interesting.
But these men are just like, holy shit, bro.
Yeah. Jiggle Physics. I can't believe there's a name for it. I'm so done.
Jiggle Physics is crazy. And I've actually, the Japanese have Jiggle Physics down to a science.
They do?
Yeah, because their anime shit, like that society is a very repressed but also extremely horny society. So they exert all their horniness in their like video games and anime and manga and shit like that.
Yeah.
And their Jiggle Physics, it looked supple and soft. Like that looked like a video game. Like when you look at that shit, it looked like a video game.
Yeah.
Japanese Jiggle Physics, it's like it's different.
It's different. You can like feel the texture of the skin.
Yeah, like when it moves, it feels like it's moving in 3D space.
Interesting.
Jiggle Physics.
Oh, well.
And that's just how you know that these motherfuckers are just nerdy, horny
motherfuckers. Yeah, for real. Like all that research into making an ass move the way they want it. They're zooming in.
The parabola of the ass.
Not the parabola.
Physics is calculus. They're doing mathematical calculations to figure out how this shit moves in
100%.
That's so crazy.
That's comical. Kind of amazing. They got paid. They got paid for that too.
Yeah, they got paid for that. That is human ingenuity at its finest. I fucking love that shit so much. This is the type of human experience I'm living for.
Yeah.
This bullshit for sure.
I agree with this.
But yeah.
Should we get into the...
Let's actually talk about what we're talking about.
Yeah, we are just avoiding the topic of discussion today.
For no reason, because I actually am quite interested in this topic. Mostly because of how similar my mindset was to Emma Chamberlain's.
Because what was... like
when I was her age.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah, because her take was definitely like romantic love is an illusion. It's like not real. It's fake kind of deal.
It's fake. Mostly because she like defined what illusion is, and I'll pull that up too. I don't remember what the exact.
I think I have it already pulled up. I have it right here.
Go ahead.
Illusion is a thing that is or is likely to be wrongly perceived or interpreted by the senses. Also, another one, a deceptive appearance or impression. A false idea or belief.
So based on those definitions, I can see how a person can
come to that conclusion
based on the evidence that she provided, because she was mostly tapping into how romantic love is very sensational and very emotional and very defined by physiological reactions that are happening in the brain. So truly, if you like really take a step back and analyze it antiseptically without any, just taking it for what it is, you can develop, or I'll say it like this. If you put two strangers in a room and flooded one of their senses with dopamine and oxytocin, they will fall in love with the stranger. Yeah. So in that, one can make the argument that love isn't really real.
If it can be manufactured.
If it can be manufactured, how real is it? Or how much of an illusion is it not? Yeah. Like, you're kind of buying into the idea almost.
Totally.
And based on all the media representations of love and that stuff, like I can see that being a thing. Totally. Also, I can also see how or where she's coming from. Recently breaking up with the boy that
they were together for 3 years.
For 3 years, yeah. So, and I just ended things with the girl that I was like dating for the vast majority of the year. Right. So I can get, based on like going through that and understanding where my mind is in that, and seeing how the emotion of everything that you're doing up until that point when it ends, you're like, well, what even was all that in the first place? Yeah. I get how a person can easily fall into that mindset if they just recently broke up with who they were talking to. Yeah. Yeah. But the question, is love an illusion? Maybe. One, for the reason that we just said, but also if you look at it from an evolutionary perspective, things get a little more interesting. And I wanna frame this conversation with an experiment that I was looking into about Russians and silver foxes. So silver foxes are one of the most, not one of the most, they're a very aggressive species of fox. Gotcha. And this Russian guy, his name is Dmitry something. All the Russians' names are Dmitry something.
Belyov? I don't know how to pronounce it.
I want to say Belyaev.
That's not it.
Belyaev? I don't speak Russian. I don't know how to pronounce Russian names.
Dmitry Belyaev. That's right.
Dmitry. Imagine you came to that. The way you came to that conclusion is so funny. You know, oh yes, that's right. Your fake Russian accent. Go away. Who are you? Jesus Christ.
That's how you do it. That's how you gotta do it.
That's how you have to do it. What do you mean? Yeah. Perfectly scientific methodology.
Yes, exactly. In real time.
Belyaev. In 1959, he's a Russian geneticist and biochemist situation. So they're doing an experiment trying to understand the phenotypes of domestication. So he noted that pigs, cows, dogs, cats, they share a type of they share a type of physicality. So like they have like floppy ears, curly tails, shorter snouts in comparison to their wild counterparts, right? Wolf is very big and long and sharp ears and like really attuned and heightened senses and stuff like that. Yeah. So he took an aggressive species of fox, the silver fox, and he bred them for tameness. So he started with 100, and the least likely to attack him, he took those and he bred them together, and then he just kept doing that. Right. And over time, the foxes became smaller, they became more round, their tails became curled, their expressions were more expressive-y, they became cuter, round ears, floppy. Yeah, for lack of a better expression, they were cutified. I don't know what the conclusion was I don't know why he was trying to do that. Yeah. But an interesting byproduct of that is that the more friendly the foxes were to humans and each other, the more intelligent they were. So they were significantly more intelligent than their wild counterparts as a byproduct of being tamed and more friendly. So he bred for friendliness, he bred for cohesion, for domestication. Right. And all of a sudden, you get really cute animals that are very smart. Yeah. Right?
That's so interesting.
I don't understand why that's the case. I'm not going to try to pretend I understand why that's the case. Right. But interestingly enough, you get the same situation in regards to humans.
Yeah.
So over time, if you look at how humans progressed from the time like of Neanderthals on an individual level were bigger, smarter. They used more tools. They cooked meat first. They were more ingenious, so to speak.
Right.
But humans progressively got cutified and they became more intelligent over time. And the adaptation that humans have and that people assume is the case is because we were friendlier than Neanderthals were to each other.
Yeah.
Neanderthals were very more or less violent, less cohesive group than Homo sapiens.
Like they didn't like have like communities in
Not
the same
as
way?
intense of a community as humans did. And there was I forget the man who said this, but he was using the example of if you have one genius in a society of 1,000 people and he's not friendly, he only has one friend, he has to share his invention with the one person and each person only has one person to share it with, only 20% of the population will get that invention or that adaptation, that newfound ingenuity that the genius came up with.
Right.
If you have a population of a genius that has 10 friends and he's sharing this invention with 10 people and so on and so forth, 99.9% of the population will get the invention and the adaptation.
Gotcha.
So the friendlier you are, the more community-based you are, the more love you have in a community, the more likely you are to survive, the more likely you are to be able to adapt to the changing environment. That was like crazy. Back then, the environments were changing crazy.
Right. And so it was essential to have like shared information and knowledge.
That made it more likely that you would be able to survive and progress.
Right.
And evidenced by Neanderthals died out.
Yeah,
Humans,
they're not here.
Humans,
though my dad does like to say often, "Oh, we have a little bit of Neanderthal in us. That's why we're so intelligent." I don't know.
I mean, I agree that white people do be having that Neanderthal in them.
Yes.
But I don't know if that correlates with intelligence.
Right. Is that what is that? Eugenics?
Yeah. Like, whoa, you really took it somewhere. God,
that was not my intention. I just thought it was like a funny thing that my dad would say.
Eugenics? For sure. Do I need to talk to your father?
Oh my God, maybe. I don't know. Anyways.
God. But you do see that I like to look at white people's forebrows.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, that's that Neanderthal.
Yeah.
The big ass forehead.
Yeah, they got that
that
hooded. Honestly, I love
the Neanderthal in you.
Yeah.
That loves that shit. What do you mean? We're not confused about it.
We're not confused. That's why.
Hey, yo.
Oh my
God. But friendliness being a byproduct of intelligence and intelligence being a very, very resource demanding adaptation and needing some sort of mechanism to ensure reproductional success.
Okay.
When you look at it from that perspective, you start to see a very interesting progression and correlation between human friendliness, humans' ability to get into relationships and commit to relationships to raise young as a survival mechanism.
Gotcha.
And it's meant to solve a variety of different problems. And I wrote these problems down. So this comes from the researchers at Cambridge University. Love is a complex suite of adaptations designed to solve specific problems of survival and reproduction. Namely being that the more intelligent an organism is, the more resources it requires to make that being that intelligent. So before, if you co-sign to evolutionary theory, whatever primate we evolved from didn't require so much rearing, wasn't gestated for as long, and reached maturity a lot faster.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
But they were also less intelligent than we were. The bigger our brains got, the more food we needed, the longer we needed to be in the womb, the longer we needed to be raised.
Yeah.
All these things are imperative because if you don't have those things, your little 4-year-old child is just going to die out in the wilderness.
Right.
Doesn't really make for very long-term species success, right? So you had to solve for displaying reproductively relevant resources, providing sexual access, signaling fidelity, providing psychological and emotional resources, which as your brain gets bigger, you have consciousness. So you need like, well, I have emotions. What do I do with it? You need a person to support you in that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then displaying commitment, promoting actions that would lead to successful reproductive and parental investment.
Gotcha.
So the smarter we got, the more these things became relevant.
Right.
And as a byproduct, the mechanism of love proved to be the most adaptive.
Gotcha. That is interesting. It, like, as you're saying this, it makes me feel as if like the statement romantic love is an illusion. It makes me lean more and more towards saying that that's not like an accurate statement to call it an illusion, because it's like, right, it implies that it's not fake. It's fake and it's not real. And I don't know. I think it's like I don't think it's like it's an accurate thing to do to say, oh, because it's based in like biology that it isn't real. Right. It's like, well, most things that we do, or a lot of things, you can really take the root back to like biological, some evolutionary advantage or trait or whatever.
Exactly.
You can take it all back there, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not real. Right. It is a very real thing that, like, I don't know, like, of course, like our bodies create experiences and we have emotions because of them. You know what I mean?
And then a thing that people use to kind of like justify that reasoning is that the expression of love is very different now, today, than it was years ago.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, but that's like a cultural thing.
Yeah.
What we do to like our mating mechanisms and our the things that we find attractive evolve over time.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that love itself, like romantic love specifically, never exists. You had people in Mesopotamia 4,000 years ago writing love letters to each other.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
So it's like that doesn't come out of nowhere.
Right.
And because it doesn't come out of nowhere, you see from a psychological evolutionary perspective, there are mechanisms in every human's brain that are love mechanisms. If you lived on an island by yourself and you had no interaction with anybody else, you still have a mechanism in your brain that can produce the emotions and the feelings and the expression of love.
Right.
How that looks is varied, but it exists universally in almost every person.
Yeah.
So if that's such a universality, it's a phenomenon that exists and can be measured, can be observed.
Yeah.
It's not fake.
Right. Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good point to say that like culture and like times in history or like society, the ways that we have like constructed things differently, definitely inform maybe the relationship with love. Right. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it wasn't existing during those times, right? It just maybe then was acted upon in a different way or not acted upon.
Exactly.
You know?
And to that point too, speaking of culture, they had in the same report I was reading, they were saying how different cultures over time in history demonized romantic love, and they thought it was useless. Like, you don't need romantic love. It's sinful.
Marriages.
It's whatever. You don't need that to like reproduce.
Right.
And from Mormons to Middle Eastern cultures that were very like controlling in that aspect, people were still falling in love.
Right.
Arranged marriages, people like got their arranged marriage, but over time in polyamorous societies, they married for duty, and then they either had their extramarital affair with people that they loved, or they took a second wife that they actually loved.
Yeah.
It's again, observable phenomenon.
Yeah, that
aren't
occurs.
Fake.
Though I could see how someone could use like even like say like arranged marriages as like an argument to say that it's like that love is like, I don't know, like made up. Because you do also hear situations where, you know, where if someone has an arranged marriage and they do fall in love eventually with their partner, like over time. And usually that comes like from like, you have like a shared like purpose, right? Commitment, duty, whatever. And like that like creates like love, I guess. And so I don't know, I could see how someone would like use like that argument. You do know what I'm saying? Like to like say like, oh, well, it's not real because like you can like throw two humans into like a room and force them. If they spend enough time together, they'll eventually fall in love. So is it like really like real. And I also think too, the direction people go with it as well, like, is love really real? I think that people people want it to be really like special, and rightfully so. I find my love that I give to be very special.
Right.
And so to then entertain the thought, so say with like an arranged marriage, over time, you can form affection and love for the person that it doesn't, well, then does it not really matter? Like the significance of the person that you're falling in love with, it's like, it kind of, is challenging the thought of like the significance of the person that you are falling in love with. Does that make sense?
Yeah. People really want their love to like be so exclusive and momentous and mean so much. Like, I'm choosing you because you're the only person I could have chose, which is fair.
Yeah.
But that's just not the case.
Yeah.
Objectively, that's not the case. As much as you don't want to admit that, as much as it's not like romantic to admit that, it's not the case.
Yeah.
That person could have literally been anyone.
Yeah.
And there's no, back to like this idea about the soulmates, right? Like, there is no, this is the most unromantic idea of all time. And I'm a romantic at the end of the day.
Yeah,
no, like,
same.
This is the most unromantic idea ever. But at the end of the day, like, you falling for who you fall for is relatively arbitrary. And it has to do with, like, again, if you were in a little village of 100 people, you could technically fall for any one of those 100 people.
Right, right. You would have found someone to love.
It just so happens to be that you found the person that you found. And I would argue that that fact doesn't have to necessarily detract from what you're experiencing.
100%.
Because while you could have loved any of these people, fallen for any of these people, you didn't.
Right.
And in that, the significance can be realized.
Right.
But to like rage against the machine and be like, well, if I could have done it with anyone, like, this shit doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
Like, well, if that's how you want to take it, sure.
Right.
I guess.
But not a fun existence.
Yeah,
to like really, have that line of thought.
That's really boring.
Right.
And then two, love is a very magical and surreal experience.
Yeah.
There's a lot of aspects about it that are very intangible. The euphoria that you feel, the sensations that exist, when they're gone, it's like you went from cloud 9 all the way to purgatory.
Yeah.
So I can, again, a person who just broke up, I can see why you're like, what was I feeling
for
the last like XYZ?
Yeah. And then also trying to like find the meaning in that
when it ends, right?
Exactly.
It's hard. Exactly. It's hard to try to find meaning in those feelings when they're only hurting you in that moment.
Right.
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 I get it.
Yeah.
I understand.
I understand that.
But that goes back to the illusory part of is romantic love an illusion? Something that's perceived incorrectly.
Yeah.
So, and this is why I said maybe, right? Because on one hand, there is a biomechanical structure for love in your brain.
Totally.
But then on the other hand, the chemicals in your brain are producing a perception for a person that could be arbitrarily attributed to anybody.
Yeah.
Maybe. That's where the maybe comes in.
Right.
Because illusion. When I'm really like stressed about like illusions.
The word choice for sure.
What really constitutes an illusion? I think of like magic trick.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Is the coin really disappeared? No. But if you're perceiving it disappeared, is that reality any less significant for you specifically?
I see. That is actually really interesting.
I don't know. It's hard to say. But like I can say definitively that love is not fake.
Yeah. Right.
And it's a byproduct of intelligence. But also, is romantic love an illusion? Is eros an illusion? Like specifically, the sexual urge to reproduce, like being horny for a person.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of it is kind of, I'll use arbitrary instead of fake. It's kind of arbitrary.
Yeah.
Like you're signaling people, right? Types, right? Let's just go straight.
Yeah, let's do it.
The most aggressive form of hyper attraction.
Yeah.
Hourglass figures. Most men will be like, We love that twerking Jiggle Physics ass. Big mommy milkers. You know how it is.
Ew, not mommy milkers.
But you'll find these same people that will die on hills of what they're attracted to.
Right.
Will fall for people that don't look like the archetype of what they're attracted to.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Like that happens often.
All the
people,
time.
Like, oh, well, yeah, they're not usually what I go for or who I would.
Easiest example, tall women, short men.
Yeah.
Right? They will say out their ass all the time.
I will say it till I'm blue in the face.
6'12", please. And no one's shorter than 6 foot because I'm tall and I need blah, blah, blah.
Right.
The 5'8" dude charms you up and you're over here, well, you know.
Reconsidering.
This height's not even really that big of a deal. Let's really talk about the person.
Yeah.
And here you are doing what you got to do.
Right. Well, and that like, I just like had like a thought, like, I don't know if it's kind of back to like the chemicals that are happening in your brain. Because I what triggered is you saying like, okay, like if a person like a 5'8" dude, right, at a bar came up to me and like feelings were had or whatever, that's not like when we as humans define like it to be like love, right? Yes, there are like chemicals in the brain that are happening even like within like the first few weeks or several months that you are seeing someone, right, where you are having like all these chemical processes are occurring in your brain. But and maybe that is just like the intellectual side of like being a human, where like when we define things, but don't see people. I mean, actually, you do see some people declaring their love a couple weeks in, and that is a separate issue.
Yeah, that is. That's what we're talking about right now.
I have heard of those situations happening, but people tend to not like, even though like there is that chemical process going on in their brain when they're interacting first couple months of dating someone, but it's not defined as love quite yet. There's like, there's more that's happening and occurring before, or that needs to happen and occur before a person is willing to say or can definitively say, I love this person, right?
Or whether or not when they say it, it has the significance that we associate with the word love.
Exactly.
To which I will rebuttal and say that depends on, or that's why it's important that you define which aspect. But I thought it was really useful to go through the Greek forms of love. If you don't know what those are, it's eros, which is romantic passion love, philia, which is intimate authentic friendship, ludus, which is playful and flirtatious, storge, which is unconditional and familial, philotica, compassionate, self-love, pragma, which is committed, and pragma is the thing that we think of long-term love, right? And then agape, which is unconditional.
Oh God, I would hear that all the time
in church.
Yeah. Oh no!
Every fucking time God loves you, it's agape love,
right? Oh, triggered.
Godly love,
triggered.
Yeah. So, if we're just talking about the eros side, then you walking up, or a 5'8" dude walking up to you, is eros functioning in real time. So those chemicals and those sexual feelings and whatever is happening there.
Oh, the romance that is, you're being romanced.
Romance is eros.
I see what you're saying.
And that's the love that you can technically qualify
as love.
Yeah.
Interesting. I guess when you say it like that, you definitely could, like, it's a level of it for sure.
Exactly.
I was like, let me just put it right here. I was like, just look so.
Do what you gotta do, man. We already told the people that you are less than 100%.
Yes,
it's fine. You're doing great.
So am I? Okay, thank you. I am. It is hard to like maintain like attention when you're hungover. Also,
I can.
Do you know what I mean? Like I have to keep on keeping my brain from wandering.
Okay.
Which I've been doing a good job of it, but it's been very active. Like, do not.
Very attentively focused.
Yeah, exactly.
But if the chemicals of eros are making you perceive something, I would argue or question what the goal of that perception would be.
Sorry, say that one more time.
So if like the chemicals of eros are I don't remember what I said. Fuck. If the chemicals of eros are making you perceive something and like producing the illusion, what is it? What's the goal of that? If it is fake and if it is an illusion, what would be the goal of that chemical situation.
Would the goal change, or just then it would be?
I think if it's an illusion, it would kind of be a waste.
I disagree, because as we just talked about, like the evolutionary aspect of like the advantage of finding love or being in love as like a human, right?
Right.
We reproduce, we make kids, all that good stuff, right? Continue on the species. So I wouldn't say that like it would be useless.
But to me, that seems like it's not an illusion. So if the chemicals are not making an illusion, then sure, evolutionary makes sense. But if the chemicals are producing an illusion, what would be the goal of that? Like why? What would incentivize the brain? To create this entire false perception of what's going on?
Right.
Like,
right.
Why is that useful? And arguably too, for the tall girl that falls for the 5'8" dude.
I love this storyline that we've got going on.
Why not? Because it's so relevant.
Yeah.
There is technically no evolutionary advantage for her to want offspring with the short dude.
Yeah.
Technically, that's not, that doesn't ensure the survival or like the most optimal survival for her kids. Unless she just got some crazy strong genes and her kids are tall anyways.
Well, but like tallness isn't necessarily like a is it like an evolutionary trait that like is like helps in like survival? I would say like something more like, even this is like a funny example. Matt like gets sick a lot. Like, and he has like, there's been things that happen. He had a mold issue in his last place that he was living. So, and that causes a lot of like issues for years. But he does get sick like quite a bit, and nothing crazy, just like colds and whatnot. And you would think that something like that would keep me from falling in love with him because of like the evolutionary, like immune system.
Weak ass immune system. You're gonna make my kids all sick.
No, exactly. That's what happens when you were raised as an only child.
Fair enough. Yeah. Your siblings are disgusting.
Right, exactly. You weren't forced to eat dirt.
What?
I don't know. You have to try it.
Okay. Not gonna touch that. No. Anyways.
But I feel like something like that, right? Would if and I don't know what would be a good argument for which side, but that goes to show in my brain that love isn't like, or at least as it's developed to be now for humans, is not just like this evolutionary thing to produce like the best spring type of deal. Do you know what I mean?
Right, yeah. And to your point, does that make it more or less real?
Right. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Yeah. Feels more real to me. I love you despite your weak immune system, Matthew. I love you.
But arguably that could also be used for the fake side. Talking about like, well, this clearly has no advantage. So there's no reason for me to feel this. Right. It's just what I'm creating, the significance I'm adding to it, which is arbitrary.
Right. Like money. There's no gold standard.
Oh, God.
I actually think that is a great comparison.
It is, but like out of context, that made no sense. Like money. What? Oh yeah, because like it's fiat, fiat currency that like isn't attached to anything substantial. It's just what we agree it to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I got there. Yeah, I got there.
My delivery was very like abrupt. What?
The gold standard. Oh goodness, yes. So it's like money, 100%. Now that you bring that up, great example. Yeah, money is 100% an illusion. Yeah. Money is fake. Yes, we use it to like commerce and interact with the world.
It runs the economy, right?
But money is 100% fake.
Yeah. The only value it has is what we give it. We say that it has, essentially, which is just such a wild concept.
It pisses me off every time I think about it.
Yeah.
Because 100%. Why am I working for a living for money when it's not real? Money is not real. Like, this is not a real thing.
Don't even get me started. But with that being said, like, it's still using that comparison. Like, okay, yeah, money, we give it the value that it has, and we could pretty easily, quote unquote, easily take that away. Not actually,
like
but
conceptually easy.
Yeah, conceptually easy to take. We could remove our value from the dollar and
collapse the global
and collapse the entire economy. Honestly, it's already on the way.
Yeah,
so,
technically you could do that.
Right. So we could.
It's fundamentally simple to just like, well, we don't care about the dollar anymore.
Yeah. But it's not fundamentally simple to do that with love, despite people's best efforts. Some of my own at times in life. I know.
You're not perfect?
I'm not exactly. I have made mistakes.
That's crazy.
But yeah, as much as people try to be like, oh, well, like fuck love, or, you know, it's just this arbitrary thing. It doesn't really matter. Like try and take the value and the significance out of love.
Yeah.
It's still,
you'll find yourself in a situation where you can't really resist the pull of those feelings.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's very true. And I don't know what example you were pulling from, but I think of it in the terms of, like, again, people breaking up.
Yeah.
Those feelings just don't turn off.
Right.
So like, illusion, perhaps.
Yeah.
Like maybe you fall into the effect a little more than a person who's like being rational and not leading with emotion. But those feelings still persist way after y'all ended things. You could have a completely new relationship and those feelings, those sentiments, those memories, those expressions will still be triggered every time you see or that person is brought up.
Right.
So illusion implies that when you understand how the mechanics work, it's over. Like if you learn the card trick,
yes, exactly.
Then you're not fooled anymore.
Right.
But you will learn the card trick, break up with a person, and then delude yourself again.
Yeah.
It's not really an illusion in the proper sense. It might be something in that category.
Sure.
But illusion, I don't think is the right word.
Yeah.
Because once you learn the trick, and once you understand the fundamentals, and even Emma explaining all that stuff that's happening in your brain, oxytocin, a hell of a drug. You think cocaine's a hell of a drug? Oxytocin is crazy.
Give me some of that oxy.
It's so like low key because it's like,
yeah.
I think about this when I'm in the thralls of romance and how I wake up so early, 5:30 in the morning. I work out. I do my thing. And I'm just so productive off that oxytocin. The moment I get some oxytocin, chick chilling with me in the bed, I'm in bed till like noon, bro.
Oh my, don't even get me started.
And I just want to hold and be held. And I'm like,
hold and be held.
It's confusing to me because like this is not a byproduct of what I think is my reality.
Right.
But that's how I feel. And I 100% enjoy being in those moments. Right. Oxytocin. Crazy. It's just oxytocin.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop you from experiencing that phenomenon. It doesn't, you can't resist it in any way.
Yeah.
So it's not like some fake happening in the ether that you're choosing to be fooled. Like it's not something that's fooling you, so to speak.
Exactly.
Which I think what illusion implies is that people are being fooled.
Yeah.
It's like romantic love, it's like it's not real. Once you realize what it is, then you don't feel it anymore. It's like, no, because once you realize that maybe you didn't have the type of interaction, type of relationship that you wanted with the person that you broke up with, you'll find romance somewhere else with somebody else. Right. And you'll be fooled all over again. Right. So, wow, I think that's our answer.
Yeah. Wow, I'm glad we found that.
I think that's our answer. It's
live
not an
and
illusion.
on air. Yeah.
It's not an illusion because once you are fooled, you get fooled again.
Yeah.
Fool me once, shame on you. You?
Shame on you.
And fool me twice, shame on.
Why are you confused?
I don't know.
Why do you not know how to say the same? It's very common.
I honestly am very confused why I don't know that. I hear it all the time, but
oh my gosh.
Fool me 3 times and fuck the peace signs.
Oh,
load the chopper and make it rain on you. See, I know that one.
Right. Clearly.
Like I do that so much better than I thought I did.
Way too well.
The original I can't. That's how my brain works. that makes no sense to me at all. That's
for
wild.
sure. I mean, go off. Like, do you, king? Do you?
So yeah, I think we can agree that romantic love is not an illusion.
Yeah.
And I also wrote down that very interesting phenomenon. I mean, this report that I found from Cambridge, so informative, so interesting. I liked it. But at the end of the day, the feelings, the euphoric nature of love in the romantic stage is a incentivization mechanism developed for survival. So there's logically no reason for you to feel that happy when that person texts you. Right? Like,
calm down.
Yeah. Yeah, actually stop. Like, logically, you're being ridiculous. Like, it's just a text message. Relax. Or like when you feel or smell or interact with the people that you feel that strongly about. Logically, no real reason. Even chemically, no real reason, because the chemical influx isn't that much higher than like a chemical influx you can get if you're eating like a really good cheeseburger. The dopamine that you get from eating a really good cheeseburger.
I'm already imagining it right now.
Kind of similar. Kind of the same.
I love that for us.
But based on how much resources are expended selecting a partner, like, it's really hard to find a mate. Yeah. It's really hard for humans to find a mate. It's really taxing on the female body to produce a baby. Yeah. And it takes a long time for humans to reach maturity. So if you're going to do all that because you have to reproduce and maintain the species, then the brain is kind of tricking you by rewarding you with like feeling amazing after accomplishing that. Totally. Is that the illusion that she was maybe that's like the one vein of illusion that I can like validate for this poor girl who just broke up with this dude of 3 years. Like, I get it, bro. That's rough.
But it's like, it's also too like, I don't know if I'm going like I said, y'all, I can't follow my own train of thought.
It's fine.
But just another thought that I had with that, like what you were saying of like, okay, you're laid up, and maybe this is me. I'm just gonna say it. Like when you're like laid up with someone and the oxytocin in your brain and whatnot, you don't always like that. You're not falling in love with that person though. You don't like feel love for that person in that moment though, you know? Like the brain chemicals do not always equate or make you feel like loved. It definitely, I agree, like, it's a reward system for like the thing, right? But it doesn't like mean oxytocin equals love. Like, that is what you will always feel. You feel good, you feel great, but that doesn't always mean that you're going to fall in love with that person.
I will actually say that oxytocin literally is the love hormone.
I agree with you, but like I'm saying, like, for example, like in my casual dating like era,
when she was a hoe. She was a fucking whore.
Damn. Hey, you know what? I was out there getting it.
She was not feeling love for any of these niggas. That's crazy.
No love. But during in that time, like, like I loved it just like posting up at some random dude's spot because and just like lounging in their bed and like doing all that. I had a lot of fun with those people, but I never ended up wanting to pursue most of those people further because I didn't like those good feelings that were produced by interacting with them and cuddling with these like random guys did not like equate to me then wanting to be like with them or like start falling for them or like there's so many other factors at play.
And then that's what I was gonna inquire next is like, is that just basic chemical that you were or weren't feeling, or was like the context specific, like those weren't people that you could see yourself being with?
Well, so what I'm saying is that it's not like just like the chemical like reactions that happen that will like guarantee you will fall in love with someone. There's other things at play, right? Like there's, like we were saying before, there's maybe situational stuff. I don't like your personality all that much.
Hey, but you can lay down that pipe, bro. What are you doing? I don't like you that much. We fight all the time.
I was not trying to go there.
Hey, yo, when you lay it like that, I keep coming back.
No, for sure. Okay, you said that.
I'm just in a silly, goofy mood right now.
I'm just silly, goofy. We get it. Anyway.
do that so well. I cannot for the life of me. I just don't have the ability to do that.
God.
That shit's insane.
So funny. But anyways, I think I've already made this point like before, but like the chemical situation, just as much as like over time and exposure, like in arranged marriage, like you can eventually like fall in love with someone. And I would argue that's like, there's like a whole, like the triangular love theory where like, you know, commitment, intimacy, passion, whatever, these things like create love. It's like, and within that, it's like the opposite vein, like the chemical reactions are not always going to then be, the product won't always be love. Mm-hmm. So
it like could just be plain old unadulterated attachment.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I guess is a great way to pause and be like, well, we just have to explore what other factors love equate to.
Oh, yeah.
Because attachment, eros attachment, sexual attachment is a thing.
Totally.
But it might not necessarily equate to love.
Yeah.
So what are the things that equate to love in those capacities? Mm-hmm. Find out next time on this. It's not going to, also, I will let the viewers and the listeners know that we're not going to do this in order, but we will talk about love in 8 episodes eventually over time.
Right, over time, yes.
This is part 1 in the installment.
Yeah.
And we'll go from there. But
yeah,
great convo. I like that. That was fun.
I'm very proud of myself, you guys.
Round of applause for Renee for sticking to it because
it's just hot air up here.
Hungover brain. I am kind of impressed. First of all, second of all,
it just goes to show how smart I am.
Yeah, she's an intellectual or whatever. Good for her.
That was the rudest. Good for her. Passive aggressive.
Good for her. But conclusive. I think romantic love is less of an illusion than not.
I agree.
There is maybe some illusory aspects to it, but it's not fake. It's real. Mm-hmm. And we keep running after it over and over again because we're gluttons for punishment.
Yeah, for real.
And sometimes it's like a lottery almost. Oh, it's not an illusion. It's an addiction.
Yeah. I like that.
You have an addiction to romance, not an illusion to the situation that's happening. You're just addicted to those feelings. Wow. Interesting. Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah. So there you go, Emma Chamberlain.
Yeah, Emma Chamberlain. If you ever listen to this, so we're not mad at you. Actually, no. I have a lot of empathy for you.
Right.
But it's not an illusion. It's an addiction. Eros is, anyways. Romantic love is an addiction. Other forms of love, we'll see. But that's all for that. That was a good episode. I like that a lot. And it was like shorter than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, no, and like we were able to like get to the point
and fleshed it out very beautifully. That was like one of our better episodes, which is crazy. This is so crazy. Jesus Christ. All right, so be hungover more often. Well, let us know what you thought about that episode, and if you think love is an illusion, if you can still think love is an illusion after that episode, what were you listening to? First of all, listen again. Secondly, that's just the question. Is love an illusion, or is romantic love an illusion? Why not? Do you agree with what we said? If not, let us know. Or don't. Honestly, Facebook is so irrelevant these days. 40. Yeah. If you're 40, have fun on Facebook. We still post for you guys too. Yeah, I saw that. I was like, okay, Renee, your little social media situation going up. I see you. Yeah. Right. But yeah, well, that's all. Because at the end of the day, I'm Jem, and we're the intellectual signing off until next time. She's